Just in case anyone has just woken up from a lengthy coma, Teen Titans Go statistically is one of the more successful and divisive cartoon shows of the past decade, one that I myself have taken a couple shots at in past videos. So I will take this opportunity to say that while I, nor anyone else, need to apologize for just not liking something, I do feel kinda bad about it because it's not because I think the show is devoid of comedic merit. There is something to its style of completely absurd and cynical humor, as well as its callous disregard for how cartoons for younger audiences are supposed to go. Oh, no other show can even say the word death even when it's right in front of their faces? Screw you, we're gonna kill our characters every other episode. Oh, after we learn one lesson about pacifist problem solving, we'll completely change our violent ways? Ha, that's cute. Oh, you're supposed to forgive all of your enemies, including people dedicated to making your life miserable? Screw that! Murder that bitch! Heroes are supposed to be decent people that treat their friends and general public with respect? Ha! So yeah, TTG has had its naysayers, whether it's because of how they feel about it as a reboot, because of its art, because its humor can be juvenile, because it takes up like 80% of Cartoon Network's schedule, or how occasionally the characters could be so reprehensible that the comedy can't compensate for it. Although it is episodic and gives no Fs about continuity, which means it varies depending on topic and writing. So I can say there are episodes that I like. Still, I can't say I was ecstatic when I heard that this was getting a theatrical film, but the second trailer and the positive feedback from its early screenings were very reassuring. Especially the tone of the feedback, because I mean, if someone could say that the Teen Titans Go movie is delightful, I had to assume this wouldn't be like one of their episodes where they cannibalize each other. And it's not. Robin is just trying to overcome his usual crippling insecurity and feed his ever-present self-absorption by getting his own movie, and the others are kind of supportive, but not enough to rein in their destructive impulses to actually help him. So yeah, that sounds like very typical Teen Titans Go. Very mid to light levels, which is probably for the best since this does last for an hour and a half, and as a result, it is really funny. Even if it's far from the only one doing it, yes, in a superhero-saturated age, seeing them mock the 20 million films that have and will be made is cathartic. And setting it in a film studio makes the pop culture jokes feel less random and in-universe, including many background gags, mock movie posters, even down to minuscule things like Nick Cage is playing Superman, because he was actually cast to play Superman in a movie that didn't happen. Oh, and also, holy crap, there's an Animaniacs reference in this movie! But probably most of the best moments are from BoJack Horseman playing not Deathstroke. I know, they can kill off these characters repeatedly, but they still can't use the word death. Yeah, I know, it's a reference to the other series. There's also a segment that I kind of feel like was supposed to be an actual episode, because it's somewhat of a lengthy segment that happens and then doesn't come up again about superhero origins, but man is it great! And kinda dark, so again, it's right in that wheelhouse. Now it does have some of the less popular TTG trappings, an elongated fart joke, an unending bathroom joke, and music numbers that are designed to be interpreted as irritating. Handman, they really think that baby hands joke is funny because it will not die. But credit given that all of those elements are properly utilized for this film's other joke target, their own franchise. All the immature gags support the framework that no one takes the Teen Titans seriously because they're silly, selfish, and immature. An incredibly subtle metaphor for how the show itself is occasionally perceived, despite still being ridiculously popular. And I love the self-deprecating humor. Shockingly, they're usually my favorite episodes. It's certainly a more effective and profitable method of reacting to negative criticism than baiting your naysayers just to tell them that you think that they're babies. But it appears that most of the instances in this movie of self-roasting humor were used in the advertising. In the film, its use is a bit more thematical, so the gang at the very end can go, yes, we're a joke, and that's okay. Again, the allegory is incredibly subtle. But given the series, subtlety is not exactly what it's known for. But man, it really worked out for them that now they can use all that hater fodder for their joke material and advertising. It's almost like it's a physical manifestation of hate making your enemy stronger. There are lessons to be learned from this, and while the songs are far from being bangers, the ability to make a song seem annoying while still making it bearable is a difficult balancing act, and undeniably this will vary from person to person, but they're more or less successful at that. You do feel the initial dread when they start, but at the end they end up being catchy enough. One song is a sort of Disney parody, and possibly Everything Is Awesome. One is a Teen Titans rap theme, but I kind of appreciate how it's introduced to intentionally make the Teen Titans look gimmicky and childish, but then comes back at the end of the film in earnest. And then the other one is completely and utterly pointless, but at least it's accompanied by some different art styles. Now, this is gonna sound strange, especially for me, but I think my biggest problem with this film was how it was almost too successful at being a normal movie. And by that I mean a conventional Hollywood family movie. And I get that it needs a solid, basic 3-act structure to support all of its off-the-walls comedy, and to a certain point the formula is there so that they can poke fun at it. I mean, there's a villain twist in this film. Well, twist in the way that even a child paying the mildest bit of attention can get it, but that was probably the point. But apparently, not even Teen Titans Go can break free of the dreaded third act breakup, and then it tries to have emotional moments. Really? The series where 80% of its content is about characters treating each other and everyone around them like garbage is now suddenly gonna give a crap about friendship? And you're not even gonna make a joke about how trite that is? I mean, all things considered, it's not a problem. It just feels so insincere to what Teen Titans Go really is. But it was actually kind of nice to see them working as a semi-functional unit for a change. In fact, even taking into account what has to be a modest budget and a simpler art style, there are decent action scenes in here. Stretches of time where they take things semi-seriously and make less jokes than usual. But then that itself is a little bit inconsistent. After all, in-universe, the entire point of why the Justice League doesn't take them seriously is because, well, they're completely incompetent at doing hero work. But with the exception of the opening fight, where they are indeed very incompetent, for the rest of the film, they're actually successful at doing hero stuff. Kinda puts a damper on the whole we're a joke and that's okay when you succeed by no longer being terrible at stuff. And then you remember that this is the show where they die every other week and continuity is pointless. So yeah, overall, I had fun with this. It's silly, and it's gimmicky, and it's cynical, but it does all of that comedy with really good timing. It's not as though it's never annoying, because that's a decent percentage of the Teen Titan Go's identity, and this movie isn't going to redeem the show in anyone's mind who hasn't been able to find at least a little bit of enjoyment out of the series. But you know what? It's okay to just not like something as much as it is okay to like something. And hey, it's technically another 2D animated film in theaters on wide release. And they do some work to make it look a little bit more cinematic, being aware of things like scale and polishing their backgrounds. Still, I wouldn't implore that people necessarily need to see this in theaters if you don't already have the inclination. It'll be perfectly fine to wait for syndication. Unless, of course, you really believe the mid-credit tease and Tara Strong's implications that maybe if this film does well, they'll totes for real bring back that other show you actually like. Which, yes, the fact that it is actually in the credit sequence is somewhat promising, but aside that, I sometimes just wish that people could just let some franchises rest in peace instead of digging up their corpses, and that we're already getting a new Young Justice. That specifically sounds a lot like bribery, and I do not appreciate that. Hey, you know what else premiered this weekend in very limited releases? A really beautiful fantasy epic family love story called Maquia, and a really long subtitle that, to me, does not beat Wolf Children for best movie about motherhood, but it still does it very impressively. Look it up to see if it's playing near you, and I promise you, if it looks like the movie might be going to an uncomfortable place, it doesn't do that. I would not recommend it to you if it did, but it is a stellar movie. And if you can't find it playing near you, I don't know, have you seen Night at the Galactic Railroad? You can watch it on Crunchyroll, which is not sponsoring me, by the way. It's just one of the only semi-free legal sites. Comment, like, subscribe, etc., and you stay incredibly shiny, Animaniacs.
inspirational song about love.